alternative investment possibility.
Yeah.
Now, we also talk about
to let everybody appreciate this concept.
a recap every day. What are the things that we have? She has taken away. So she wants to
I
know.
just want to
what
thank
is my
you for listening to me.
return
And
per
it goes back to
dollar
what I say. Do your homework. Your knowledge is your power asset. So that you know what you're in.
Yes, and this is a function.
precious money.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to thank you for the final episode with Professor Siew Koh of the National University of Singapore, the MBA Professor of Finance, and also the Fortune 500 well sought after corporate consultant and corporate trainer. I'm so glad to have her, and today is actually the 16th of October 2021, and we are drawing near to the end of the year. And a question to all of you: what have you accomplished in 2020 and 2021 in the depth of the pandemic? And if this series adds any value to you, I really hope that it does give you some light, some reminders on how you should chart the way forward post 2021. And we have today a great honor of myself and also our show, Talk About Life on YouTube by Vicky Esther, and also Lifestyle TV USA by Dr. Moby, the professional podcast TV #1 in the USA, awarded by Tally Awards. So I would like to welcome Professor Siew Koh of the National University of Singapore for the final episode today. Such an honor to have you, Professor Koh. Would you like to say hi to all our international audience, Professor Koh?
Hi Vicky, hi everybody. It is actually my honor to be on this platform, Vicky. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody.
And you know, Professor Koh, we have been doing almost 10 episodes of your series, and people, ladies and gentlemen, viewers and listeners for my podcast and for my international YouTube channel, look below. And also you are able to download, save for all the episodes, that these concepts, even though they are on the first entry level, because there's so much depth in it, which I have to remind everyone, it gives a good glimpse of the concepts that you should have some knowledge of, and then you can look at some books, or you can write to me at talkaboutlife777@gmail.com. So look for Professor Koh. Professor Koh, let's review the last episodes that you did for such a wonderful show for the SMEs and entrepreneurs. Some of these concepts that are supposed to at least to have heard of before they dive into their businesses. So I need to know, Professor Koh, would you like to recap some of these concepts that you had before we talk about a short interview with you for the next 10 minutes about your past experience and also your career?
Certainly, Vicky, it's my pleasure. If you've been following my series, you will know that I target both at the small, medium enterprise, showing them in a very layman manner how they can always jumpstart as well as leverage on their network, on their ability to get financing in order to stay afloat in a very trying times like this. In turbulent times like this, it is about managing your suppliers, who are your spontaneous bankers, managing your bankers to convince them at the local level how to get the cheapest source of financing so as to magnify the net profit of your business. And you know what? Throughout all this, even though profit could be one of the objectives, you are also creating employment as a business owner. So that is where I draw a lot of pleasure and satisfaction from when I give advice to such small and medium enterprise.
Yes, Professor Koh, to echo you, for the past episodes that you did for this master class of finance, yourself, aptly, you are the master in finance. For your 30 years of experience, you've shared with us some concepts, and I can recall what you did for ROI, returns on assets, return on investment, turnover, and also WACC. Would you like to recall some of these concepts? Just rattle off.
Sure. Vicky is my best audience. She really literally remember how I actually talk about a very simple multiplier effect. As a business owner, be it big or small, you would like to enhance the return on your own money that you put in. So if you could only enhance your return on investment by the leveraging effect, it can go like 3 times as big as what the investment could give you in terms of return, in the form of internal rate of return. Those people in the finance industry, they will call it the IRR. Yeah, but as far as business owners are concerned, they really want to make their return on equity, which is the own capital, as big as possible. And that's why Vicky brought up this very good point, very aptly. In order to lower your average cost of money that you raise, it is always good to balance it with not just your own precious money with a lot of opportunity cost, but also other people's money. And that comprises the supplier's good support and the banker's cheaper interest rate. You see, we are in a time and age whereby borrowing money is relatively cheaper compared to a lot of other times before this pandemic.
Yes, I think you have raised a very important point because of the interest rate is the cost of borrowing. Professor Koh, I think we have dived in with our enthusiasm and our zest in wanting to give and to also teach the SMEs and entrepreneurs who's going to launch their business, who's going to repivot their business, or they will be thinking about launching their business in the future if they lose their jobs, right? Or even people with transitional unemployment, they might want to launch a business. So these are the concepts which is very important. So everyone, please look below of all these episodes. Now, Professor Koh, in our enthusiasm, in our earnestness to share, I think I have to give you that honor and the justice to really tell us about you, about your experience and also your career, because I see you as a new millennium successful woman representing the very educated Singaporean women who are also constitute almost 50% of the GDP and 50% of our economic growth. It is person like you, educated, giving, and not only giving within the working hours, but giving after office hours to your clients, to your students, so passionately that I see with my own eyes. I see you as someone who is so representative of a modern, educated, professional woman. And we're in this era right now about redefining a woman. And we're also putting out our videos out there to let people understand about the Singaporean woman, the Singaporean career-minded woman or the professional woman, for people to have a glimpse about who we are, what we do, and also about background. And I see you as the epitome of a professional, successful woman who have actually really given back in terms of your professional career, and also as a mother, and also as a child of God that you emphasized a lot. I would like to spend the next 10 minutes or so really just getting the audience to know you. Professor Koh, tell us about your different parts of your careers. I do understand that you are an academic. You're also a corporate consultant. And then you're also a wealth management consultant for home office and personal wealth. Tell us these 3 parts, which coincidentally is also 3 legs of your career.
Thank you so much, Vicky. If you really ask me, where did I get all this source of strength and motivation and inspiration? Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, maybe you do not know Vicky super well yet. Let me tell you, she is one of my inspiration. Little did you know, she's one of the best entrepreneur who has won awards from Singapore. So when I got to know Vicky in a educational institution, I was so inspired because after all my years of experience in corporate banking, I now know how I can give back to the society. So
Wow.
that's where I first started. I went to the University of Singapore. I started to take up a course to share my experience with the MBA program students. And
Wow.
it was interesting because I meet students from Poland, from India, from America, UK, and other parts of Europe. They were so enthusiastic, and despite their original discipline, for example, I have met surgeons, I've met engineers, even entrepreneurs, and non business oriented students. They were there to learn from me, but I told them, I'm so motivated by them. I felt like I should give it back to the society, and I really want them to see them succeed, because when they succeed, it means I have succeeded in my
Exactly.
inspiring them. Yes, that's right.
Exactly. You have got your academic experience and credentials as an MBA lecturer, that you actually taught these professionals who are
Yes,
from different backgrounds. I mean, they must be professionals. That's why they are coming back to school to do their MBAs, right? And that must have been quite an exhilarating ride. And I also understand that you are actually teaching the undergraduates. You're such a well-demanded academic yourself. Tell us about some of your top three best names that we know in the corporate world, Fortune 500 companies, that you have actually done consultancy for our audience, so that they know that your tutorial below are so expensive and you're so well demanded. I'm very sure they will click and read and click and watch and click and jot down notes again. Now tell us about your experience, Professor Koh.
yeah, thanks, Vicky. I think you hit the nail on the head. When my students from both the MBA program and the undergraduates in the universities ask me, I always told them and remind them, please treasure the time you have in a university,
Mm,
because the very same thing I am sharing with them is
mm,
exactly what I impart to my customers when I
yep.
provide my consultancy business. So
Mm,
I have successfully brought a local company. I'm a great supporter of local business to listing on the Singapore Stock Exchange. And I thought that I shouldn't stop there, because there are many small and medium-sized companies who may not have the credentials to do it locally on the Singapore Stock Exchange. We call it SGX. So I even brought them to be listed in the over-the-counter. We call it OTC in America. These are really, pitch at the companies who so need fundraising, and to look beyond the shore. And
yeah.
beyond that, I also
Wow.
provide consultancy to some of these top companies from, let's say, ABB. I personally coach their in-house training in terms of how to view projects, how to look at credit risk analysis.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was also invited to Rolls-Royce, so as to teach the non-finance professionals how to read a financial statement. And like you were teasing
Mm,
me just now, the three legs of a financial statement, you should read below. There are many very, what other people thought as boring stuff of financial
mm,
statement, I have found the joy and the passion
wow.
in making it look so day to day, so basic, that I'm sure you will share the same sentiment as Vicky after looking at it. So there was two companies, and lately I also trained the Mitsui Corporation, and they were looking at many projects beyond the shores of Japan, beyond Singapore. Now, I also equip them with these skills of analyzing what to invest and what not to invest. So it's no longer just academic, it is really permeable and transferable to the real corporate working world.
And because these corporations, right, we are talking about, they are paying you through a corporate rate, and they are paying you. You must be good, because they must have done all the due diligence behind about your background. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, another shout out to Professor Koh. please go and do
Thank
your
you.
homework below. Go and watch all these shows that she is actually giving to you as an audience and you as a listener in the podcast world. She has been so kind to give her time in a packed time to squeeze in these very valuable lessons, because we are in the pandemic times. We are in the times whereby we can give back to the world in the digital sense, because there's no way that I can reach out to people from South Asia or people in the Middle East or the people in South America or in America or down under in Australia. I mean, it is only through the digital world that we're able to do that. And Professor Koh is actually detailed. She's a consultant to ABB, Mitsui, and also Rolls-Royce, and that gives you that should give you a lot of motivation. Please go and do your homework. We have done so much work for you, ladies and gentlemen. And also, she's a MBA lecturer from the National University of Singapore. I mean, I don't have to pay the fees. She's just right there. So, Professor Koh, I also know that you actually manage wealth for high net worth individuals under your wealth management program. Tell us exactly. We've heard this again and again. Wealth management for high net worth individuals. What is it? Tell us.
Because of the pandemic, I think a lot of high net worth individuals who are seeking actively for a politically safe, financially safe and economically safe country.
Yeah.
I think we have succeeded in attracting them to come to Singapore. They may be looking for investment beyond the shore of Singapore, but this is where the fundraising, the amount of information, the human capital, all right, for them to set up a home office, for them to look at private equity, for them to look not just at listed companies, but really putting their expertise or even their capital in the form of money, diversifying their portfolio, because that's where the brain is. Talk about leveraging, talk about assessing the banks. I think Singapore is one of the top few countries that high net worth individuals are actually making a beeline for.
Wow, yeah, I think the Singapore government must nab you to be the finance minister after watching this video, because you are actually, you and I are actually doing such a good favor for Singapore. I'm the thing is that I'm so proud of Singapore. I mean, Professor Koh, to think about it, this is a city that we can't shut our borders because we've got no food. Can you think about, we have no agriculture? And the first thing that when 2020 and when the world shuts down all the borders, when no planes fly and all the planes are actually parked in the desert out there somewhere.
Yes.
The first thing that the Singapore ministers did was to negotiate for the lines to open for food, because we need food for 7 million people, including transitional people here. And we need 3 meals a day, right? For restaurants and for people. Can you imagine if we have the borders shut? We will all really just die of starvation in 3 days. That's number one. Our waters come from Malaysia, right? And if Malaysia start to say, "Hey, we shut the borders, we're gonna cut the pipeline," we won't have any water, right? Oil. Where do we get our oil? Indonesia, Malaysia, right? And now we're diversifying into solar. But these are the things that I think we always forget, that we are interdependent on each other in the globalized world. We cannot be for long to be an isolated country or as an individual. We need each other. Professor Koh, you're right to say that people are coming, making a beeline to Singapore. I think you've done a great job in putting your expertise out there online. And also, you are such a shining example for women of Singapore. Tell us about your faith. Tell us about some of the philosophies that actually have guided you throughout difficult times in your life, Professor Koh.
Yeah, I think I'm personally so motivated because of my faith as a Christian. I think if you want to look for a book of inspiration, the Bible is the first book we should all go to. Yeah, and
Well said.
we act it out because just as I was and still am motivated, I like to spread this vibes and share that enthusiasm with the people around me. So that's why I started with academic, because from the undergraduates to the MBA students, I mean this students at this very formative age, right? They look up to somebody who shares with them in the setting of an LT, in the university, and even now online. Every words that come out from a lecturer's mouth, from a tutor's mouth, is going to be seeded in their hearts, the young hearts. So I always make it a point to speak kind words, positive words, to really bring the best out of them. It's to stretch them, not to destroy them, it's to build them, not to pull them down. And everybody ought to be given a chance. All right, they may not have been doing so well in the past, but they made it to the university, they made it to this program. I think the little I can do is to use my energy, my voice, just to speak live into them, so that I can get them engaged. And then they feel hopeful and they feel so good that they will in turn go out and spread this spirit to the people around them. Yeah, it shouldn't be contained.
Professor Koh, I really salute you. And ladies and gentlemen, that's the epitome of the Singaporean woman. And I really salute you. Mrs. Singapore coming up. Professor Koh, one final question to wrap up, because you have shared your time with us and also some of the reasons. I think we have to reiterate that entrepreneurs do need help. And also SMEs do need help. They can always find you below, some of these concepts that you provide, and also look for you through me at talkaboutlife777@gmail.com. Professor Koh, is there any final words that you would like to share with the audience? And some of them could be students, some of them could be seeking a new direction, and some of them could be displaced, misplaced, replaced, in life, either in terms of career, finances, relationship. People who are out there looking at us either now or in the future, because this is going to go to infinity. Let us use this chance to spread some positive power and positive energy to the world out there. What are the 3 advice you would advise them if they are your student, they are your friends? What would you say?
Maybe I'll start with the student. I think they can start practicing not to be shy, not to think that they can do all things in their own with their own mind. They should, number 1, leverage on the people around them. Number 2, ask, because when they ask, it's ask, just ask. What's the worst you can get? It's just a no, right? It's just a new answer, but they must ask.
That's my philosophy.
Yes. And then when they start work out in the world out there as an employee, even if they're not an entrepreneur, they can be an intrapreneur.
Yes, in their own department, in their own company.
That's right. Their own in-house, whichever department, all right. Treat their colleagues as if they are their internal customers.
Wow.
Serve them the way like you would do as a business owner. And that's where your creativity, your your interaction, your connection, the net worth that a young fresh graduate build as they go through their career path is actually their net worth.
Wow.
And if they should one day become an entrepreneur, they will continue to know how to treat their people well, because they are now leveraging on the contribution from the staff, from their employees, besides the external suppliers and the customers. I think we all work in a system whereby, it's called interaction. It's really an ecosystem of me depending on you and you depending on us, and we all
Yeah.
create a bigger pie. It's not about you versus me,
Yeah.
but come together, all right, and then we build the bigger and a better world out there and a bigger pie of the business. I think
Yeah.
that is a win-win situation.
Thank you so much, Professor Koh. I think you have wrapped up beautifully in the last half an hour. I'm so honored to have you. And I'm so honored that we have got this platform, that we are able to provide very, I should say, very useful. And beyond that usefulness is all about that hope, right? That hope that with information like what you say in your past episodes that you have below, knowledge is power. That's very important. If there is something that in this pandemic we feel lost, okay, for me, a couple of notes for anyone who's listening in. I think it is so important for myself that I'm being taught in this pandemic to really quieten down, because myself, I have been a person who is just going round and round, right? Trying to look for things to do, trying to energize people, trying to get myself energized and all this. But I think the pandemic has taught me quieten down. And when I quiet down, I start to have new inspiration. I can't say it's revelation, but I think inspiration is a more apt word for me. And I start to find that, hey, I'm able to do this that in the past I never discovered, because I start to have a time to evaluate myself. So I think being quiet and evaluating and seeking and waiting upon inspiration is so important. And where does my inspiration come from? I think it comes from God. It has to come from God. So if anyone is lost out there, I would think that you should really quieten down and wait upon God, and let God point you the way, right? And I think it's so important that we seek for certain directions before rushing in. And, Professor Koh, you've given us such power that if anyone has lost their job in the pandemic or seeking to repivot, because, we are kind of really having this fatigue. We want to actually switch, right? Switch back to certain gears. It may not be the pre-pandemic gear, but it could be another gear, right? But which gear should we go, right? I think this is a time for us to switch, and then for us time to evaluate, and for us a time to fill up again. So I think what you have given us for the last 10 episodes, it's wonderful. For us to re-evaluate our lives, for us to refill our knowledge, for us to re-empty the old things and put in new things again. And this is my conclusion, my wrap-up for you, Professor Koh.
Thank you, Vicky. I really feel rejuvenated after listening to the last few sentences that you made. Really refresh ourselves, getting the energy and the power from God, so that we can seek new knowledge, right? New creations, and new hope.
Wow, I love that. I think, like what you say, a new refresh look at life, a new refresh look at the world, and seeking God and seeking hope from God and seeking the power and re-looking at everything and refilling our lives again. Professor Koh, a salute to you. Great thanks to you. Whatever good that we have given out, for yourself, I'm sure that the good going round the world, it will come back to you again. Thank you so much, Professor Koh.
Thank you. Thank you, Vicky, and everybody who's listening in. Appreciate.
Bye. And I just want to tell you, the love from me, from my family, and God's protection to you and your family, to Singapore, and to the whole of the world, to humanity. I mean, that's the word from my heart. We have got to really make sure that everyone is safe beyond Singapore and beyond.
Likewise. Bye-bye.
Your Money, Your Life featuring Professor Koh from Singapore. Brought to you here every week by dmetropolis.com and Lifestyle TV USA.